The American road trip, once a symbol of freedom and adventure, is now shadowed by a growing crisis that threatens the very essence of our journeys. Highways that once promised adventure now carry a new risk, especially across red America, where the infrastructure is aging and underfunded. The open road is no longer just about potholes or traffic jams, it's about a breakdown in safety costing lives daily. The roads are deteriorating faster than they can be repaired. Political division and economic hardship are colliding on our roads, creating a perfect storm of danger. The lack of funding and political will to address these issues is palpable. Infrastructure is crumbling, and safety rules are being ignored or weakened. Bridges and overpasses are failing, and road signs are no longer reliable. States that treat safety regulations as optional are seeing a quiet epidemic of tragedy. Roadside memorials are becoming all too common. The odds of a safe journey are getting worse. Travelers are increasingly anxious, knowing that the roads they travel are fraught with danger. Tonight we'll uncover the numbers, the rising death tolls, and the human stories behind the statistics. The data is alarming, but the personal stories are heartbreaking. Families are being torn apart by preventable accidents while experts sound the alarm. The call for action is growing louder. This crisis isn't distant. It affects anyone who drives anywhere in America. Every driver, every family is at risk. The promise of safe travel is being broken by political neglect and economic strain. Abandoned gas stations and neglected roads are stark reminders of this failure. Our highways have become a frontier of risk, demanding urgent attention. The vast stretches of road that once symbolized freedom now symbolize neglect. The open road is calling, but it's also warning us. The signs are clear, and the warnings are dire. This is a national crisis we can't ignore. The time to act is now, before more lives are lost. To understand our dangerous roads, look at the turmoil shaking the country. In 2025, political and economic instability are everywhere. President Trump's approval is plummeting, even in red America. A stock market crash and rising inflation have left families struggling. State budgets are slashed, cutting road maintenance and police resources. Financial stress means more cars with worn-out tires and faulty brakes on the road. The administration's push for deregulation has led some states to roll back critical safety laws. Political anger spills onto the highways. Aggressive driving and disregard for rules are on the rise. The link between a nation's political health and road safety is undeniable. Economic fallout and policy choices ripple into every aspect of life, including the simple act of driving. The crisis on our roads is a symptom of a much larger national illness, and it's getting worse. The numbers are grim, stark reminders of a crisis that touches every corner of America, from bustling cities to the quietest country roads. In 2023, over 40,000 Americans lost their lives on our roads, a number that echoes through families and communities every single day. That's one life lost every 12 minutes, an unrelenting pace that leaves little time to grieve before the next tragedy strikes. These aren't just statistics. Behind every number is a story. A parent, a child, a friend. Families left to pick up the pieces after preventable heartbreak. Preliminary data shows the deadly trend is continuing, with some states hit especially hard, particularly where safety laws are weakest and enforcement is lacking. The economic toll is staggering, $417 billion in 2024 alone, or 1,260 aids for every American. That's not just numbers on a page, it's money drained from families, businesses, and local governments. That's money lost to property damage, medical bills, emergency response, and lost productivity, resources that could have been invested in rebuilding our communities, improving schools, or supporting small businesses. Years of progress in road safety have stalled, and in many places the trend has actually reversed, erasing hard-won gains and putting more lives at risk. Complacency and a lack of political will are costing lives. Too often, urgent calls for change are met with inaction or indifference. We have the tools and technology to make our roads safer, proven solutions that save lives, but we're failing to use them to their full potential. The divide is growing. Some states are making real progress, but many others are falling further behind, deepening the gap in safety and outcomes. Where you drive can mean the difference between life and death. The risk changes dramatically from one state to the next, depending on the laws and infrastructure in place. The statistics are a warning. Our current path is unsustainable. If we don't act now, the cost in lives and livelihoods will only grow. Change is urgent, and the time to reverse course is now. A recent report reveals your safety on the road depends on the state you're in. Only a few states earned top marks for safety laws. Many conservative states received failing grades. In these states, basic protections, like seatbelt enforcement and helmet laws, are missing. The resistance is rooted in a belief that safety laws infringe on personal freedom. But this freedom comes at a high cost. More deaths, higher insurance, and medical bills for everyone. The patchwork of laws creates confusion and risk for travelers. A family can cross from a state with strong protections to one with none in minutes. The value of a life shouldn't change at a state line. The scenic routes of Red America often run through a landscape of legal loopholes and elevated risk. Behind every statistic is a human story of loss and grief. These are not just numbers on a chart, but real people whose lives have been forever changed in a single devastating moment. Every roadside memorial marks a family torn apart, a future stolen, and dreams that will never be realized. The Miller family's holiday trip ended in tragedy when a trucker, driving past legal limits, crashed into their minivan. What should have been a joyful journey became a nightmare, all because safety rules were ignored and enforcement was lax. Their children were killed instantly, victims of ignored safety rules. The echoes of their laughter now replaced by silence, their absence felt every day by those who loved them most. David, a college student, always wore a helmet in Oregon, but not in Idaho, where it's not required. Like so many, he thought a short ride without a helmet wouldn't matter. But laws change at state lines, and so does risk. A minor crash left him with a life-altering brain injury. A helmet could have saved him. Now, his family faces a lifetime of care, and David's dreams have been put on hold, all because of a simple choice and a missing law. These stories echo across the country. Teens dying in states without strong licensing laws, victims of drunk drivers where enforcement is weak. Each incident is a ripple that spreads through families, schools, and entire communities. Each is a failure to prioritize life over politics. When lawmakers argue and delay, real people pay the price. The pain of these families is the true cost of inaction. Their grief is a burden that never fades, a reminder of what could have been prevented. These aren't random tragedies, they're the result of choices. Decisions made in government halls and on the road have real, lasting consequences. We can't forget the faces behind the numbers. Every statistic is a person, a story, a life interrupted. The Millers, David, and thousands more are reminders of what's at stake. Their stories urge us to look beyond policy debates and see the human cost. Road safety isn't abstract, it's personal. It's about protecting the people we love every time they travel. Their stories are a call to conscience, a plea to act before another life is lost. The divide between states with strong safety laws and those without is stark. States like New York and Washington have lower fatality rates thanks to proven laws and enforcement. In contrast, states like South Dakota and Wyoming resist regulation and have some of the nation's highest death rates. In these high-risk states, you're more likely to encounter unbelted drivers and unprotected motorcyclists. This isn't accidental, it's the result of policy choices. States that invest in safety save lives and money. Those that don't are accepting more death and injury as a trade-off for ideology. For travelers, this divide means the risk changes dramatically at every border. The safety of your family can depend on a line, on a map. America's highways tell a story of life and death, one written by our choices. Understanding this divide is crucial for every driver. We stand at a crossroads. One path is complacency, accepting preventable deaths and a patchwork of laws. The other is a renewed commitment to safety, demanding action from leaders at every level. Common sense laws, investment in infrastructure, and public education can save lives. This isn't a partisan issue. It's about protecting everyone. The grief of losing a loved one in a crash knows no political boundaries. We must rise above division and demand change. The solutions are clear and proven. Awareness is the first step. Be a defensive driver, protect your family, and speak up. But it can't end there. We must all raise our voices and demand safer roads. The open road is part of our national identity. It's time to reclaim that promise. For hope, not fear. Let's choose the path of life and make our roads safe for everyone.